파리올림픽이 한창 진행 중인 가운데 12년 만에 한국 복싱에서 메달이 나왔습니다. 복싱 여자 54kg급에서 준결승에 진출한 이매지 선수. 올림픽 복싱은 동메달 결정전 없이 준결승에서 패배한 선수 모두에게 동메달을 수여하기에 이미 동메달이 확보된 것입니다. 이제 이매지 선수는 튀르키 예선수와 티세 아크바시와의 결승전을 준비하고 있는데요. 다행인 건 이매지 선수가 54kg급이라는 점입니다. 현재 모든 면에서 논란을 일으키고 있는 파리올림픽은 여자 복싱 때문에 전 세계의 비난을 받고 있습니다. 이번 올림픽에 출전한 여자 복싱 선수 가운데 지난해 세계선수권대회에서 국제복싱협회로부터 실격 처분을 받았던 선수들이 포함되어 있기 때문입니다. 알제리의 이마네 칼리프와 대만의 리니팅은 남성에서 여성으로 전환을 한 선수들입니다. 정확한 수술 여부는 알 수 없으나 이들은 이번 대회에 여성으로서 참가한 것인데요. 국제복싱협회는 이들의 DNA를 검사했는데 둘 다 남성을 의미하는 XY 염색체를 가지고 있었습니다. 국제복싱협회는 남성 염색체를 가진 선수들이 여자 복싱 경기에 출전한다는 건 선수들에게 불리한 상황을 넘어 자칫 목숨의 위협을 받을 만큼 위험한 일이기에 두 선수에게 실격 처리를 한 것입니다. 그런데 IOC는 염색체가 다르다는 이유로 두 선수가 여자 경기에 출전을 못하는 건 차별이라면서 오히려 국제복싱협회에 징계를 내렸습니다. 이에 선수를 보호해야 하는 나라들의 항의가 시작됐습니다. 안드레아 아보디 이탈리아 체육부 장관은 스포츠 최고 무대인 올림픽은 선수 안전은 물론이며 공정한 경쟁에 대한 존중이 보장돼야 한다. 그렇지만 카리니는 그렇지 않을 것이다 라고 우려를 표명했습니다. 조르지아 멜로니 이탈리아 총리도 나섰습니다. 남성의 유전적 특성을 가진 선수가 여성 대회에 출전해선 안 된다. 이건 선수들의 생명을 놓고 장난을 치는 것과 같다고 주장했습니다. 하지만 이탈리아 국민들이 우려한 대로 결국 선수들은 안전을 보장받지 못했습니다. 이탈리아의 안젤라 카리니 선수는 복싱 여자 66kg급 16강전에서 칼리프를 만났습니다. 경기 시작 전부터 두 선수의 경기는 게임이 되지 않았습니다. 같은 체급이라고 믿어지지 않을 만큼 칼리프의 몸은 거칠기 끝이 없었고 그 주먹에 얼굴을 가격당한 카리니는 30초 만에 이탈리아의 코너로 돌아갔습니다. 그리고 곧바로 눈물을 흘리며 기권을 선언하고 말았습니다. 4년간 하루도 쉬지 않고 훈련을 했던 선수가 IOC와 파리올림픽 조직위의 잘못된 판단 때문에 실력을 발휘할 기회도 얻지 못한 채 기권을 해버린 것이죠. 하지만 코치진과 팬들은 그녀를 위로하며 정말 잘한 일이라고 다독였습니다. 한 번 더 머리를 맞았으면 뇌진탕 정도로 끝나지 않을 수도 있기 때문입니다. 링을 떠난 카리니는 로이터와의 인터뷰에서 조국을 위해 항상 충성을 다했다. 이번에는 더는 싸울 수 없어서 경기를 포기할 수밖에 없었다. 머리와 코에 강한 통증을 느껴서 더 뛸 수가 없었다고 말했습니다. 관련 내용이 보도되면서 전 세계 언론과 스포츠 팬들은 비판의 목소리를 내고 있는데요. 오스트리아 방송에서는 이를 자세히 보도하며 분노를 감추지 못했습니다.
The Olympic Games officials have defended two biological men competing in women's boxing events, and you won't believe their rationale. Now, Iman Khalif from Algeria and Lin Yu-ting from Taiwan were banned from international competition after recent medical tests confirmed they had XY chromosomes. In other words, they were biological men. But the IOC has allowed them to compete in Paris as women regardless, and listen to their reasoning. This is the IOC spokesman, Mark Adams, and he told journalists, I quote, "Everyone competing in the women's category is complying with the eligibility criteria." Just stop right there for a second. That gives you a clue that something is wrong, because what he should say is everyone competing in the women's category is a woman. But no, there's an eligibility criteria. Now listen to the criteria. He says they are women in their passports, and it's stated that is the case, and they are female. So there's the IOC's argument. It says that they're women in their passports, therefore they are women. Now, we all know there's an obvious problem with that, and that is that legal documents are no longer credible for determining gender. We spoke just last night about the fact that in Queensland, for instance, you can adjust your birth certificate even without undergoing any medical procedures. If you identify as a woman and live as a woman for the specified period of time, then the birth records are adjusted to say that you are a woman. And then if anyone sort of complains that maybe you're not, you simply point to the birth records which you yourself adjusted just 5 minutes ago. So Caleb and Liz, here's my issue with this. If I were to go to the IOC, crude example, but go with me for a second. and I wanted to buy, front row seats at a major event that were worth $500. And I handed Mark Adams a $50 note, and he said, well, I'm sorry, that's not enough. You need... And I got out my biro and I just added another zero and said, no, it's 500. Would he agree that was reasonable? Because it's a lot easier to adjust the agreed value of a piece of paper than it is to adjust biological immutable sex, is it not?
Well, I just hope that that does become law, that I can, with a pen, add another zero onto my $50 note and make it a $500 note, because I'd be all on board with that.
Why not?
Don't worry about that. I mean, this is a bizarre case, because these two boxers, as far as we can tell, have never outwardly identified as men or lived as men. So it seems as though they've lived their whole lives as though they were women. Now, look, I haven't looked between their legs, but I'm assuming that they have, lady bits down there. But when they went to compete at the World Championships last year, they were given DNA tests to confirm that they were who they said they were, and they came back with high levels of testosterone and XY chromosomes, which of course indicates some level of biological maleness about them. Now, they may never
chromosomes tend to be fairly inclusive.
They may never have known that about themselves, but that's what turned up in the DNA tests. And so at that point, there's no argument to keep competing. I mean, surely we all have to understand that there are certain things we can and cannot do in life based on the physical attributes that we are born with. I mean, some of us come out with half a foot or something, right? And that means that you can't be part of the military. Now, you might grow up thinking, well, I really wanted to be part of the military, but you're never going to be accepted into the military because they say, well, you've got a physical disability and that discounts you from being part of the military. That's just how life goes. It was quite funny. I heard Chris O'Keefe on 2GB today saying that he really wished he could be a Victoria's Secret model. But of course, as a burly man, he's never going to be able to do that. That's just the reality of life. So if the DNA test comes back and says, sorry, you're a bloke, you can't compete anymore. And I get that might be devastating, that you can't compete. But that's just how it goes. We have to accept there are some things in life we can't do, and competing as a boxer, particularly a boxer, when you've got high levels of testosterone and you're saying you're a woman, is just something you can't do.
I've got to say to Chris O'Keefe, just to encourage him, these days he could probably be in a bikini on the front page of
that's a good point.
And he'd be fine. They would totally go with that, Liz.
And this is affecting everyone's scores, right? So two of these people are boxers, males versus women competing as women. And when we're talking about boxing as well, we're talking about a very real threat to women's well-being in the ring. What woman, even if she is the best of the best, stands a chance against a male opponent? Boxing great Jeff Fenech has called this out. He's called the IOC utterly disgraceful. Direct quote from him is, what has this world come to? Listen, I'm all for women's boxing, but do people understand the damage that can be done if men fight women? Put Mike Tyson in the ring with a female heavyweight and she will end up not just concussed, but with brain damage.
여러분의 소중한 의견을 남겨주세요. 바쁘시더라도 구독과 좋아요 부탁드립니다. 지금까지 단골이시였습니다. 시청해주셔서 감사합니다.